It's Thursday night. Welcome to Top of the Pops. Well, actually, you guessed it isn't really, but it is another edition of the Long Lost Show. And this week we are thinking pop music. Incredible to think that people wiped appearances by the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. But you know, it's true. Perhaps you hold a missing song on film or videotape, or audio tape in your attic. Lost at bigcentre.tv can help you identify it, so do get in touch at that address. My first guest is Ray Langston, a man who spends his spare time searching the internet and more for lost shows. Thanks for coming in to see us. I know you've made some fascinating discoveries. Tell us about them.
We haven't got a week. I found an awful lot of stuff, and music mainly is the main thing that I try and look for. It all started in 2007, giving you a history lesson here, I know, but being a huge music fan and getting more things on DVD, I went onto a forum called the Missing Episodes Forum by accident, and they're talking about Lost TV, and I noticed a couple of mistakes people had said, and I just thought, oh well, I'll just make a point that actually you're not right there. And then I found out how many wiped Top of the Pops there were. I knew there were a few, but over 500. Hang on, no, there's got to be more out there. He just gradually over the couple of years, and I gradually started to find stuff. The first one that I found it is a music show partly. It was a jazz festival of all things on Late Night Lineup, the old show.
BBC Two.
And it was a 68 show, and it was one of, if not their first colour OB, because BBC Two started broadcasting in colour in '67.
Yeah.
And it was filmed in Brighton, and I'd gone into an archive because I live in the southeast for my sins, and found this show, and I found an email address of somebody in BBC Archive, and I went, is this lost? And he went, we've been looking for that for years, young man. Where did you find it? Very BBC, of course. And it was in an archive in Brighton at the university, etc. So they know where it is. And then a little while later, I got a phone call from this guy called Andy Batten Foster, who I'd never heard of. Lovely guy. It turns out he's a producer. And he produced music shows for BBC West at one point, but he was doing the Antiques Roadshow at the time. And he goes, I'm ringing you to thank you from my mother-in-law. I went, okay, is this a Les Dawson joke? What's going on here? And he went, no, my mother-in-law is Lady Bakewell. Joan Bakewell. Yeah. Oh, right, okay, fine. Well, we were away there. And I thought, okay, I'm onto something here. I can do something. And so I started looking more and more for what I tend to like, which is rocky pop and poppy rock mainly, but any type of music.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of things on YouTube. I do get sometimes pilloried for low-grade finds rather than the good old 2 inches over there.
The big masters here.
Yes.
Yeah. But anything's better than nothing.
Anything's better than nothing, and music footage, any footage is there to be seen. And I did a bit of negotiation with a few people and got other bits of footage out. And then in 2009, I think it was, one of the contributors to the forum, a guy called Lawrence Piper, who's involved with Kaleidoscope these days as well, had heard on Radio Oxford or something, one of the BBC local stations, about this cameraman guy who had a copy of a lost David Bowie performance. Is somebody going to get in touch with him? I said to Lawrence. Somebody ought to get in touch with him. Somebody ought to get... Yeah, it's me, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, it's Muggsy here. So I rang up. As luck would have it, the guy who answered the phone at his business was the cameraman, the now legendary John Henschel, was a good friend of mine. Hi, John, if you're watching. I've spoken to him today, actually. He had the Gene Genie, and I got him in touch with the BBC and later on with Kaleidoscope. And the great thing about that, as well as the Bowie footage being absolutely fantastic in every single way, live performance, all the rest of it, in pristine quality. The other big thing for me is cameramen, like you over there, didn't always get the recognition back in the day. And John Henschel is now one of the best known cameramen in the business.
Much respected.
And he had very respected, deservedly. And he had 15 years at the BBC and then became a director of photography afterwards. Deserves a gong, if you ask me. And you know, he's a lovely guy. He's a gentleman, you know, amongst other things.
So, I mean, you then, obviously this spurred you on, and because I know you
Success
found...
does.
So, well, hey.
It's the only thing I'm good at, apart from falling over or being a doorstop, you know, as far as I'm concerned.
But you've brought these things back for people to enjoy, perhaps for the first time, but for those others of us to kind of relive those memories again.
You mentioned the Rolling Stones earlier. The BBC had 33 seconds in their archive, I think it is, of a lost 19th Nervous Breakdown from, I'm trying to remember the date, 1966, February 66, I think it's the 3rd. I'll have to check that, doesn't matter. And I spotted that one in their archive, and that's since been on BBC 4, as has Bus Stop as well, which was another lost clip which was in the States. Not one of my finds, but I did mention that to Mark Cooper, the head of BBC 4 Music, when we had a meeting. I'm name dropping here, it's just something I do. And that was wonderful. I think music should be seen. You know, if lost television should be seen if you can. And I am more than happy when it's made somebody else happy, you know.
What's your favourite find then?
I ought to say the Gene Genie. I mean, it's obviously it wasn't lost because John had it all these times in a way, and lost is actually subjective in a way because somebody has it and it's not lost to someone. You know, it's just lost to the general public and the fans and what have you.
Because didn't you track down a Donovan?
Oh, the Donovan. Yes, that's a weird story. The Donovan one. Donovan one's been online a long time. It's just sometimes I'm either at the signpost going, look over there, or the Emperor pointing out that the masses have no clothes and they should really wear this bit of footage, if you like. That didn't really make sense, but I got it. The Donovan one, it was on a Russian website.
Bizarre.
It's still on a Russian website. Now, the story seems to be this. A boy called Donovan is the programme. January 1966, filmed in 65. Lots of shots of Donovan playing songs and travelling in a car with his manager and all lot of other things. And a rediffusion programme, which is obviously was a very good company, made quality programmes. There was some sort of dealings, because I found something else that's Russian and rediffusion, if you like. They had some sort of dealing, I think, through Intertel with the Russians, and obviously this is the time of Cold War. I say the Russians, I mean the USSR.
Yeah.
At the time, because it was. Anyway, cut a long story very short, because I can go on forever. They bought or acquired the Donovan show, and it exists apart from the titles and the end sequence. Now, we've managed to get a copy which is 3 seconds out of sync, which is currently being resynced.
Yeah, that could be fixed.
That could be fixed. It's a lovely little document, to be honest with you. That's going to be up there with, you know, other finds. I've also done negotiation for some clips. There's a holder of a private collection of Top of the Pops clips that I did the original negotiation with.
Well, these are video clips, are they, or audio clips? Bit of a mix.
Bit of a mix, but
right.
I did the original negotiation on that, and more of that one another time. There's still clips that guy's got, but that's had a few things coming on.
So where'd you start? I mean, you know, you obviously want to find things, but...
Okay, there's several methods. I mean, the easiest method is YouTube. Okay, YouTube is going to be...
Isn't that a bit of a cheat?
It is a cheat. I don't care, I'm finding footage.
Okay.
I don't care. It's like this. Footage is meant to be seen.
Yeah.
That's my first rule. On YouTube, there has been, I would think, maybe not 100 hours, but close to it at least, of white TV. Now, sometimes it's adenoidally awful, and sometimes it's fantastic. But taste is, you know, the fool's whiskey is the wise man's milkshake, you know? Each to their own.
And it's
what
not
you
about
like,
taste, it's
you know.
about history.
There are
isn't it? It's
religious
about
programmes
heritage.
on there, you know, Guildford Cathedral Songs of Praise and stuff which I'm just, if I didn't come from near Guildford, I wouldn't have any interest in. You know, there's Hogmanay programmes. I love Scotland, but that's not my thing that I found on YouTube from like 75 or whatever.
But you see, that will bring back a lot of memories for people, because I
It
remember
will.
New Year's
And
as
this
a child.
is the point
was
of it.
always
Apart from
Hogmanay.
it being modern history, it might be your father, mother, grandfather, sister, uncle, aunt, friend, somebody you hate. It doesn't matter. And it's memories and it's keeping those alive. And to me, it's more important than an Egyptian pot or, you know, some sort of Norse relic. You know, to me, this wasn't long ago. We can remember these people.
What about the people themselves, the performers who appear on these pieces? Have you had any recognition from them?
Yes. I think one of my colleagues could tell you more than I can on this, but who does get more clips than I do, to be fair, out to performers. But I'll mention Linda Lewis. I think that's fine to do that. I got a clip back to Linda Lewis. I've met Linda Lewis since. I actually went to one of her concerts, and she realised that the nerd I was, because she was playing the gig and she stopped the gig halfway through saying, "This was a hit in Japan, but you know that already, right?"
Oh, really?
Because I'd told her about, you know, when her hits were.
Right.
We got a clip of her doing Rock-a-Doodle-Doo back to her. I think that's common knowledge. I can say that publicly, which is a great clip as well. It's the second time she did it on Top of Pops, miming Electric. I don't have a favourite find, actually.
Or what about one you'd like to find? Do you know of one that was
What would
recorded?
I like to find? I would have to go and appall everyone with this. It would be a Top of the Pops clip, it would be a music clip, but you would never guess the song. My actual performance that I would want would be one of the performances by the Radha Krishna Temple on Top of the Pops doing either Hare Krishna Mantra or Govinda. And it's not the vegetarian thing here. This is, quite frankly, you have a groundbreaking appearance of a group who shouldn't really be there, who've had a hit record, taking over the Top of the Pop studio. I mean, I've seen stills of it and you just think, what? And good for them.
But strange things happened.
And George Harrison was in the studio, which helps, who I'm a big fan of, obviously.
Yeah.
Actually, perhaps the Bonzos on Top of Pops as well. I'm a big fan of the Bonzos. Huge. It's not a find because it's always been the BBC library. The Bonzos clips of them on Blue Peter and the existing, which was their first TV appearance, and their last TV appearance as a band with Vivian Stanshall in the lineup on 10 Years of What, which Kaleidoscope showed at a convention. My suggestion, dare I say it, but that was my suggestion, it was. They were briefly put online, which had nothing to do with me, I must say. But I did tell the world that they existed. So, big fan of the Bonzos, and perhaps if I had to plump for one, it would be the Bonzos on Top of the Pops, narrowly followed by the Radha Krishna Temple. But there's lots of finds.
So
T-Rex.
keep looking out there.
There's
Keep
Rider
looking
Waite
out there.
Swan with T-Rex on it would be great, you know?
Yes, you're not the first person to have said that.
Yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of clips, and you just want them all back. Even the rubbish ones, or where the groups don't want to be there.
Yes.
I mean, Who doing 5:15 on Top of the Pops, been online for years, technically missing, but it has been on YouTube for years. The Who have apparently a good copy in their archive, which a bit has been shown on TV, but the BBC do not have it all. Fantastic clip, but they didn't want to be there, and they're angry.
Right.
Just because you're on Top of the Pops, it doesn't mean you have to be nice or enjoy it. It just has to be worth watching.
And it wasn't just Top of the Pops, was it? I mean, so many
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
people appeared on different
Ready,
shows.
Steady, Goes. You can go back to then, which probably, while it was going, was a better programme than Top of the Pops, frankly.
We're going to debate that one in part 2.
We could debate that one, and I would say Ready, Steady, Go finished on top, and they were still great. And Top of the Pops was very good and got better as a show from 66 onwards, without doubt. There's one Supersonic missing. There's a lot of obscure
Just
music.
the one.
Just
That's
the one.
interesting. Right. Because we don't really see them, do we? They're quite difficult to...
They did show a load on Granada Plus a few years ago. I mean, I don't like it as much as Top of the Pops.
But of course, you're famous for Mike Mansfield.
Mike Mansfield, yes.
Camera 2,
That
roll
was,
VTR.
you know, he did a good job.
Hey.
on the budgets he had.
Well, Ray, on
I
that
think-
point, we've got to wrap it up for now.
Oh,
We've chatted for a
shall
long
we
time.
mention
We
this?
didn't get to talk about Awesome World, sadly
Oh.
enough. There's a DVD that, hey, I think
I
we'll...
found one of the episodes of this, and
that
we'll
was in
talk about that
America.
another time.
Good. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back in part 2, and we're going to be debating pop music. Was Ready, Steady, Go better than Top of the Pops? Well, you decide. We're back right after this short break. Don't go Hello again, Wesley Smith here with the Long Lost Shows show. So to our debate, and we're talking about pop shows on TV, and with us again this week, Robert McLaughlin, David Hughes and Richard Clark. Now, the big question we were asking in the first half was, which was best, Ready, Steady, Go or Top of the Pops? Now, you may not have seen them first time round, of course, Ready, Steady, Go, but maybe you've seen clips. What do you reckon?
Well, some years ago, there was like compilation shows of Ready, Steady, Go that were repeated on Channel 4 when they first started. And I got to view it through that. And I thought to myself, it seemed more fast-paced. It seemed to engage the viewer more. And it seemed to be more youth-orientated. Whereas Top of the Pops would generally...
A bit more sanitised, I think, isn't
Yeah.
it? And I exactly the same. I didn't see them first time round, the same as yourself.
Yeah.
I saw them when they were repeated, and it seemed quicker. And the acts seemed to be more popular. I think they were designed for maybe teenage or younger kids and things as well. So, but again, it's something that maybe when you sort of see in hindsight, maybe seeing it the first time, you maybe didn't know the differences.
I mean, the BBC was quite self-conscious about things. I mean, Jukebox Jury before that was quite sort of, you know, prim and proper, wasn't it? Family audience and all of that. But certainly Ready, Steady, Go, rediffusion, ITV, Friday night, 7 o'clock, the weekend starts here, and it was zinging along. So,
I did see it first time round.
did you?
yeah, I'm actually a lot older than these. I'm good a bit older than these two chaps. I actually saw Ready, Steady, Go, and it was, you just described it to a T, it was Friday night. Well, it was all, the equivalent of Ready, Steady, Go didn't come along, I don't think, until the Tube in 1982, 83. I think the Tube got as near to Ready, Steady, Go as you could in a modern age.
It was edgy, wasn't it?
It was edgy, it was fast, it was fast-paced, it was very fast. It was exciting, it did look exciting. Now, having said that, Top of the Pops to me was still exciting as well back then, because I'd see the classic Stones and the Stones when they were on there several times, and people like the Kinks and that, saw a lot of that. But yeah, Ready, Steady, Go, you described it.
There's a Beatles film, isn't there? I can't remember if it's A Hard Day's Night or not, but they actually go to the studio where they're making Ready, Steady, Go.
It's Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
And that's great insight. I don't know if it really was at these studios, at the Rediffusion Studios where they did it in Wembley, or whether that was a recreated
There is some
film
colour
studio.
footage of the Animals, I believe. I think, is it the Animals? Or someone like that recording at Ready, Steady, Go. And they are actually, that is the actual Ready, Steady, Go studio, and but it's in colour.
Right.
It's quite
I'd like to see that footage.
Have you not seen that?
No,
it's
I've
on,
not seen that
it's on documentary or film somewhere. I've got it anyway. I know it. I've got it, and it's definitely the real Ready, Steady, Go studio. But it's obviously taken on some form of a camera, but using colour film.
Right.
There's no sound with it. There's no actual sound because they're looking down, and there's a voiceover dub, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here in Birmingham, we had Thank You Lucky Stars, which was made at the Alpha Television in Aston. Some big names would come along to that as well, really.
Beatles,
Yeah.
Stones, everyone.
We seem
They
to
all went there. And it was just down the road from where I was living. I couldn't believe it.
Did you ever go along and
No,
hang
we
around
used to
outside?
drive by my parents because I was very young. I was too young. I was, I think, about 8 when Thank You Lucky Stars. It would have been early 60s again, 64, 5. And I was too young. But my parents, we used to drive by, and I used to think, gosh, who's in there tonight? Like, you know, you just want to get out the car and go and have a look. And if I'd have been older, I would have been outside. But, you know.
I think that's where my sort of generation now has been deprived, really, because you look on like websites that mention about lost programs, and you see who was in the programs that were actually lost, and you think we haven't got the opportunity to see that now. you know, and it's such a shame because there's so many big name stars on that programme, but I can't view much of it to see what it was like. I have to rely on other people, and it makes you think, what were they thinking by wiping these shows? Because they must have seen these big name groups on there, and surely even at that time there must have been some sort of process and thought that it could be valuable to keep them tapes.
It wasn't, no. It was considered here today. It was considered as candy floss back then, I believe. One of the biggest upsets about that I can't understand about Top of the Pops with the wipe-ins is you have the former Beatle in there 2 or 3 times, literally just 2 or 3 years after the Beatles broke up, and even by then they realised that the Beatles were archive, you know, referential. And you've got Paul McCartney on there with Wings 2 or 3 times, post Beatles. They wipe the appearance. How can you wipe an appearance by a former Beatle? You know, even if you'd have just kept that particular clip, it's gone.
People just don't think it through. It's as simple as that, isn't it? That was the job. It's got to be wiped. You know, it's more than my job's worth to query it.
Strange.
Off it goes.
I suppose they saw it as once it had been done its job, it had been repeated a few times and things like that. Then it had served its purpose at that point because there was no home video or anything like that at the time.
There was no things to re-watch. It was
That's
the
right.
idea of you've seen that now. You don't need to see it again. I mean, we live in again the ability to see everything whenever we want to. Maybe that wasn't the case.
Do many people want to watch it? I mean, is it just the likes of us who we would like to see it? We have an interest and a passion for this kind of thing, but if it's grainy quality, perhaps they weren't as good in hindsight when you see them back. I don't know.
I think that groups like the Beatles in particular will always be popular to all generations. Right.
And people go out and find the things, won't
Yeah,
they? It's
that's right. I mean, my sister loves the Beatles and she's in her early 30s, right? Me and my fiancée Claire, we listen to the Beatles as well and that sort of music. So it's been accessed by all sorts of people of all sorts of age groups, but they're only accessing a sanitised version of it now because of what's got missing. You know, what's been missing from the archives and telly archives and music archives and radio archives. It's such a shame that it's so depleted.
It is a shame because in America, because of the time differences, East Coast to West Coast, they did record more things, and so therefore there's so much more preserved there. But of course, we have just one time zone here, isn't
But one other thing that you said about America with the different time zones, and they'd have several copies. What I can never work out is a program which is dear to my heart was called Lift Off with Asia.
Yes, Granada.
It wasn't a very, very good show, to be honest with you. I used to watch it and I saw them all.
Wasn't Ollie Beak in that as well? The little owl. Do you remember that?
It was
Muriel
Ollie
produced it. Ollie
the
Beak.
Owl, I believe, and
Wally
Auntie
White,
Jean or
yeah.
whatever. But I can't understand, like, shows like that are so depleted. There's 2 complete shows left. Well, there are a couple more now. But they used to be on at different times in different regions, like Anglia, ATV. So there must have been more than one copy.
What used to happen very often is that they would have a set play-out time of the recording at Granada, where it originated from, and the various regions would then do their own recording of it and play it out. But those tapes would be reused, perhaps to do the following week's episode. So the masters you would expect to be kept at the originating station, so perhaps that's why. But you raised the interesting point about kid shows, and that's where so many pop groups appeared. I remember even in Birmingham with Saturday Starship and the Saturday Show, you'd have various pop groups. Kids would be screaming outside waiting to see them, and they were there. Children's TV, but music that everybody really wanted to watch.
We did pretty well for a regional broadcaster. I think the fact that we had so much production out of Birmingham, and even through to the 80s, 90s, you have the Hitman and Her, for example, that was done outside nightclubs. We did pretty well, and we had a lot of bands there. You guys were saying that we were quite a hub of music production.
And
as
even
well.
on the news,
Yeah.
actually, the regional news programmes, often they were a bit longer, and a lot of them were studio-based because the technology wasn't the same. You had to rely on film. It took a long time to develop, and so you did more in studio. But some of the great bands they would have in
Slade were featured on ATV a few times, interviews around the time of the film Slade in Flame. They were, I can remember them on ATV today in the studio. They were on a couple of times before that.
and very little of that survives.
Yes, I know.
The studio
But they used to get them in. They used to get those bands that were local in. Roy Wood and people like that would be on there. Just but so little exists.
Yeah. We were debating which is the best, but I think we've kind of drifted on to, they were all pretty good, weren't they?
I think
It's
so.
just that Top of the Pops endured.
I
Did it
think
get better? Is it worse down the years? Is it right that it's finished? I mean, should it perhaps?
I think
Yes,
it
I
had run
think
its
it's
course.
Yeah, I think
it's run its course. Yeah, there's no comeback for Top of the Pops. There's no comeback. There's no day and age for it now.
They keep saying about bringing it back.
It's
though,
golden
don't they?
Why
era
that?
was
Just because we can pull things off.
We can
the-
pick and choose what we
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to watch whenever we want
Its
to.
golden
can't we?
era was
It's,
70, I believe, personally, 70 to 75, well, 70 to 73, 74 maybe.
was
Those were the
nice to
golden
watch.
years. It was colour, it was the time of glam rock. Bands like Bolan and Slade were on there. They just made it, essential viewing for everybody on a Thursday night.
It was also great times for music generally then anyway.
Yeah.
Groups like you say, like Slade and other groups, the glam rock sort of revolution and that was happening at the time. T-Rex, they had that persona that could sell a program like that and could encourage people when they watched that program to go out and buy their records.
It was a magical time. It was part of the
Yeah.
year again. I always said it was like watching Bolan and Bowie, especially Bolan for me because I was a Bolan fan. When I first time I saw Mark Bolan on TV, it wasn't until Get It On, believe it or not, because like I said, one TV in the house. You only saw Top of the Pops if your parents weren't watching something else. But I actually saw him in July '71, and it was the most amazing experience. This guy looked like he just looked like from another world. Bowie comes along then, looked like he was from another planet, excuse me, as well. And these guys, they were like something from Mars. And you really did think that they didn't
It had
even...
never been
It's
done
true.
before.
That's true.
They
The
didn't
pop
even...
stars look like pop stars.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. They certainly did. Well, listen, thank you ever so much for your input again. That was really good. We didn't even talk about Mike Mansfield and Supersonic, but hey, never mind. We will be back, though, to discuss more of our pop memories right after the break. Well, hello again. Welcome back to the show. Now, the local television researcher Gary Jordan's been finding pop music shows for many years. I'm delighted to say that he's joined us now. And you can't really miss this on the front of the desk, something that says glam rock, and it's something very close to your heart, isn't it? Tell me that story.
Yes. Well, obviously, like being a kid born in the 1960s, by the time glam rock appeared in 1971, T-Rex, Mark Bolan with his Tears, Glitter, Slade, Sweet, Mud. Yeah, it was a fantastic time for actual like, pop music on TV. Obviously, like being a bit old. Sorry, a bit. Cut that one. A bit older. Like I was able to actually sit and watch Top of the Pops from say 1966,
Right.
which was absolutely superb. Because like even as a 6-year-old, like I was up and rock and rolling and whatever. And then all of a sudden, wow. Obviously, as I got older, like I've diverted away from like all this. But Slade is still quite very close to the art.
I know that this was in many ways what really fired your interest in kind of finding more, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So what other things have you found?
Starting with the Slade, I should say. Before there was Slade, there was Ambrose Slade.
Right.
And 1969, this was before they were skinheads.
Yeah.
They actually filmed a promo on Euston Station, and Noddy Holder remembers it, but obviously he hadn't got a copy. So I went hunting. Ooh, what's that? It's a copy of Euston Station. Wow. So of course, Noddy was over the moon with it.
I bet it was. You got in contact with him and
Yeah.
you said, look, so where did you find it?
It was what's his name? I can't say the person's name.
Right, but
It was a railway enthusiast.
I know.
Who got it.
Right. Wow, how about that? That is brilliant.
Strange.
Well, you've got friends in good places
Yeah,
then now.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. And following on from that, and going back to the original VHS release, I thought, wouldn't it be great to see all these again? Because I sat there watching it, and I thought, I remember watching that. And so I got in touch with the BBC and I asked them to repeat all the old shows, not realising at the time that like 50% was wiped, like many moons ago. And like that, to me, is criminal.
It's tragic, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But they had their reasons for doing it, of course, at the time, and that was it. But at least some things were able to find and enjoy again, really.
And then through the Missing Episodes website, I come across all these people who shared my passion. Like my wife at the time didn't, understand. She didn't get it. I used to sit up hours and hours, just recording stuff. And in about 1983, ITV, Central, repeated old clips of Beat Club and Musikladen from Germany.
Yes.
And of course, our broadcast, our viewers had never seen that.
No.
And to me, that was mind-blowing as well.
Well, all the big names, because they all went on.
Yeah,
to
they all went on.
Really.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have seen those. So at least, again, great archive to have seen there. What's the PVL collection?
This is, it's called the Private Video Collection, Private Video Library.
Right.
And in early 1970s, this person got his own home video recorder, which, like most of us in this room, I'd never heard of VCRs up until
just
the
in
late,
school. I
the
remember
late
we had them in
70s,
school for school
late 70s, early 80s, And so it come about that this website appeared on the internet one day, and listed was all these old TV programs. Sorry.
So all these programs were then listed on that, things that had been recorded just off air.
Off air, yeah.
Wow. And some of the things there were just not in the main broadcasters' libraries.
No.
Wow, that's really good.
No, I always thought that somebody somewhere had been recording these, and it turned out to be actual true. But
so what were some of the things? Can you remember?
Oh, there's dozens. Obviously, Slade, Wizard.
And some of their sort of biggest hits, or
number ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, Top of the Pops used to play the number one at the end of the show. Most clips are of number ones. Obviously, there's 15-minute segments that the person's name was Ken Holmes.
Right.
Unfortunately, he passed away 2 years ago.
Right.
And all his tapes became available.
So did those tapes have to be given back to the BBC that you recorded, or?
It did originally offer the BBC all the tapes, but they refused them.
Why?
It defies logic, doesn't it?
Right.
They wiped their tapes. There was somebody with his own video recorder recording stuff. It wasn't only Top of the Pops, it was all pop shows in the 70s.
Yes.
Even variety shows,
Yeah.
everything.
Obviously, the person who made that decision is kind of, not here to say why they did that. The BBC, possibly it was quality grounds, because obviously domestic recorders, the picture quality wouldn't be as good as the big, the master tapes. Well, very often things just went out live, and that was it. Do people often trade lost recordings on the internet, things like eBay, that kind of thing? Yeah. Have you tried that yourself?
Somebody advertised about 6-7 years ago. Somebody advertised a Slade Sony tape, and of course, like I got in touch with Kaleidoscope. I actually purchased it. I got in touch with Kaleidoscope, and it turned out to be a blank tape.
Oh,
so like
disappointing.
You get all these blind alleys, but you have to keep going.
Yeah.
Once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah.
It's like a snowball, and with somebody like that passionate about it, it just drives you to do more and to find more.
What's the best thing you've ever found, do you think?
I would say, from like a fan's point of view, would be the 1967 Top of the Pops over in France.
Oh, what was that?
INA.
Right.
At the INI archive. It's absolutely superb. They've got thousands of hours of missing UK TV.
How come they've got that, I wonder?
Well, obviously, like our broadcasters used to sell the programmes to these foreign archives.
Right.
And like they were supposed to either return the tapes or wipe them themselves.
Right.
Well, like 50%, maybe 70% of foreign broadcasters actually kept the master tapes.
Right, yeah. That's interesting. That's why they pop up in New Zealand and places like this as well, isn't it? So what was on that 1967 Top of the Pops? I mean, black and white, of course.
Paul Jones singing High Time. Wow. Chris Farlow and Donovan.
Donovan, really?
And like the BBC no longer have it. Well, I found it in an archive over in France, of all places.
That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But they've got loads of missing UK TV.
Really?
Charlie Drake.
Really?
Off the top of my head, there's a Benny Hill show there.
Really?
There's loads of stuff that's been filmed in Birmingham as well.
What? That's in France?
Yeah.
Really?
And and because I've got access to it, I sat there for 3 days solid, no sleep whatsoever.
Oh my word!
Just 3 days sat at the computer, actually watching this stuff, and my jaw, I couldn't move because it was that good. And
I've been transported back in time.
Yeah. And obviously, like, it hadn't been broadcast over in France. It hasn't been broadcast here. Nobody's seen it since it first went out.
So we need to see this, don't we?
Yeah, we need to see this.
How can we make that happen, I wonder?
Well, like, with somebody like me with the contacts in the music industry, I've been getting onto all these artists and their managements, trying to get all this stuff released on DVD, which would be like, you can't make something a copyright as like a TV program, and not do something with it.
It's often complicated with the red tape, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's there to be exploited. They made it all happen in the first place. But they're letting it sit on a shelf where nobody can see it, and that's not right.
No. How come that they give you access to these things then? I mean, was it difficult to persuade people to kind of let you loose, as it were?
No, not at all.
They're quite welcoming.
Yeah. And like, you just send them an email, or on some databases now, you have to be a registered company, registered media company, to actually gain access to their database.
And does it cost you anything? Do you have to pay for this?
No.
Right.
So I think the only archive I've had to pay for is the Daily Mirror and Daily Express newspaper archives.
Right. Oh, that's
interesting. And like I said, I've got access to the BBC archives, which allows me to do like programmes for like their Friday music nights
on BBC 4.
On BBC 4.
Because there have been some great names that have come on there.
Yeah. And there's quite a few more coming up as well.
Oh, are there?
But obviously I can't say that.
Oh. We've certainly had some good ones. What, there was the ABBA night we've had. Was there a Slade night?
Yeah, yeah. I was responsible for that.
Were you?
Slade night.
Brilliant.
Being a Slade fan,
Yes.
like, you know, a Slade nutter,
Yeah.
and having access to the archives, I actually got in touch with Mark Cooper, the head of the BBC Music, and because Slade hadn't been featured, and bear in mind, like, 90% of the public think Slade, Christmas. Well, there was more to like Slade than mince pies.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show that there was more to Slade than just Christmas.
Yes.
Every day when I'm away, I'm thinking of you. Everyone can carry on except for we two. And you know that I love, and you know that and you know that I love won't die.
What's the... OK, what is so good about Slade, then? For anybody who's watching this who may not be familiar with...
Well, like they're local. Like, you know, Don Powell on the drums, Dave, Super Yob, as he's known, Dave Hill. And like Raucous Noddy Alder, well, like, you know, and Jim Lee, of course.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I still see most of the band today.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have a chat with them, like meet up with them.
It's interesting, isn't it, that two of our biggest bands from that time, and we had Roy Wood and Wizard,
Yeah.
Midlands based.
Yeah.
Which is great, flying the flag for the region, isn't it?
And we also like produced a lot of music in this region as well, for like TV. Look Here on BBC, Revolver on ATV.
Yes, of course. I'd forgotten about Revolver. Yeah, remind people about that show.
Revolver, I think, was first broadcast in 1978 and featured all the up and coming punk rock bands, and obviously, like, you know, a few of the old glam rock stars as well. Suzi Quatro among one.
She came back to do Gas Street years later. Yeah, with Vince Hill. That was an unusual pairing, wasn't it? But, you know.
And of course, like, I'm friends with most of these performers, and when I send them an email or a text or a private message, I've found this of yours. Really? Can't remember doing that. Because obviously, like, I send them screenshots first. Are you interested in having this? Oh yes, we'd love it. We've been looking for that for 40 odd years, and you've got it. How come? You know, they're sitting there scratching their heads. I was a couple of months ago. I was with Lulu in Birmingham, and I gave her a disc of 3 Top of the Pops performances, and she was blown away by it. How have you got these? Can't say that.
On the stair, we spoke of what and when, although I wasn't there. He said I was his friend, which came as some surprise. I spoke into his eyes, I thought you died alone.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because even the big stars, the big names, kind of like to.
They love to have their stuff back.
As you would. That's human nature, you'd think, isn't it? Really.
Well, it's part of their history. It's part of our history as well.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget, if anybody had ever done what some people used to do, and pointed a cine camera at the TV screen or a microphone at the TV speaker to record the audio of TV programmes in the past, maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, please get in touch with the programme, because everybody would love to see what you've recorded.
Because people did that, didn't they?
Yes,
I mean, you
yeah.
got the, your camera up against the telly, even if it was
Yeah.
perhaps silent, and the microphone. And even though the quality is obviously not going to be fantastic, at least it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Did you do that yourself?
Only with the audio.
Yeah.
Like, got the old cassette recorder.
Didn't everybody do that?
Yeah.
Sunday night, so the
Yeah.
top 20 on the radio.
With the budgie singing in the background.
That was the thing, yeah. Shut up, you're spoiling it. You can remember that too well. I've been asking our other guests about if there's anything they'd particularly love to find that, that they haven't done yet. Is there anything on your list then that you just are desperate to find, and how you're going to go about finding
everything.
it? Everything.
Yeah, everything that's out there. We know it's out there. It's just a question of finding it.
I mean, how far would you travel to?
Oh, I'd go to like the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
Because I've got that passion for it now. Where a lot of people, have a quick look on a database and look, can't find nothing. We'll leave it.
But you keep it going.
I'll keep it going. I'm not going to stop. Like, I'll get vilified here, there, and everywhere for doing it, but I don't care because it's my passion.
Yeah. Do you get to keep any copies for yourself of these things, or do you just kind of highlight them and then?
Well, how it starts off, I highlight what I found.
Yeah.
To different people.
Yes.
Mainly the copyright holders.
Of course.
And like the broadcasters, and also Kaleidoscope.
Yes, TV preservation people. Yeah.
Like, I first come across Kaleidoscope about 12 years ago, and it's one fantastic organisation.
What a rich heritage, and of course firmly rooted here in the Midlands as well.
And like throughout the next couple of years, I should imagine, more and more like broadcasters will be putting their archive online, like their databases, which will allow researchers to actually find stuff.
Yeah. Well, and with more and more channels, of course, there'll be a hunger for that. Gary, listen, thank you ever so much for coming to talk to us, and I hope you'll come on again. Great to see you. That's just about it for this week's show. Remember, if you have a Lost TV programme, email lost@bigcentre.tv or go to lostshows.com. From me now,